Well, I just feel obviously tremendous honor, gratitude, and just blessed to be selected. This team a year and a half ago, the current staff, was when it was voted on, and you really feel humbled, obviously, because it's a lot of current plus former athletes that have competed at a high level. There's a committee of people that also are in the selection and stuff, and it just shows your contribution, obviously, to track and field. The results that you've either had getting other athletes to that type of stage, whether it be a world championship or an Olympic Games. But I think just being a part of a program such as the University of Texas, where we year in and year out have produced athletes at a very high level. So definitely looking forward to, there's a lot of last minute obviously that goes into it with the training camp and stuff. But once you're there and the meet gets running and stuff, it's going to be fun. And at the end of the day, being a track fan, to be in that environment is pretty phenomenal. I think one of the great things being on last year's Olympic staff, even as an assistant coach, a lot of the same athletes, that represented the USA in Rio, there's a significant amount that are returning for the World Championships in London. So, it wasn't just the event areas that I was working with there in Rio. It's really all hands on deck. So you're helping a lot of personal coaches. It doesn't matter from the sprints all the way to the distance and every bit of the field, both men and women, because we really try to have a combined effort there and serve in any way, shape, or form that we can behind the scenes to allow our athletes to compete at the highest level and reach the highest or obtain their goals.
And looking at from the Texas perspective, 7 athletes going over there to compete, 3 of them were on the team this year. What does that say about this program?
I think that you can't say enough when you really look at what this environment here at the University of Texas provides, especially in our sport of track and field. I know you see it in swimming with Eddie and across the board, but what our athletes receive here day in and day out, just from the nutrition to the medical support to the phenomenal facilities, they lay the groundwork from day one that helps them not only to achieve great success at the conference or NCAA level, but even those that are aspiring to, run post-collegiately and make it to a world championship or an Olympic Games. And you really saw that last year, with the number of athletes that we had. Again, this year, that we have, people that just competed, in the burnt orange. And yes, it's late in the year, but that's where our staff does, I think, a phenomenal job as well. I know Tanja will be over there with Morlakea Kennison, who will be in the 4x1 relay pool. She'll also be there with Chrisanne Gordon and Rochelle Burton from Team Jamaica. And Zach Glavish will also be there working with Sanaje Givens. And so it's going to be, it's a great experience. And I think it too, for the up-and-comers that want to be a part of a great program, a great university, as well as aspiring to be at that type of level. When they're watching, I know that they commentate on these things. It doesn't hurt to have people like Sonia Richards-Ross and people like that on NBC, or even Trey Hardy last year, but they're always pumping up Texas. And so it really does. It lays the foundation even for future people wanting to be at the very best.
What are you most looking forward to this whole World Championship experience this year?
I think just really embracing the moment. I felt like there were times, I remember watching last year's final in Rio and just sitting in the stands and watching the 1500 final. And as a track fan, watching, Matthew Centrowitz win the gold medal. And, I think for me, watching Usain Bolt, who, has been obviously at the forefront of track and field globally, and this is going to be his last go around. And, just when you're watching people like that on the warm-up track, or when they get out there in the arena to compete, like I said, it really doesn't matter what country they represent. As a track fan, it's, you're seeing one of the all-time greats. And I think in just taking in those types of moments. And, but again, not forgetting what you're there for. That's to represent the United States, and that's to also help each and every one of our men and women's athletes that they can go in there and know that they've had everything prepared for them, that they can go in there and showcase their skills. Because at this point, just like the Olympics, when you're at the World Championships, you're with the best of the best in the world. So we don't want to take anything for granted, but definitely embracing some of those special moments for sure.
Coach, just want to talk about Rochelle for a minute. she had a wonderful freshman year. Where does she compare to some of the other hurdlers that you've seen here come through with the Longhorns in her freshman year?
I think Rochelle, being a true freshman, coming in and having the year that she did, you know, the success, whether it was at the conference meets, the national meet, you know, now making the world championship team, you know, it's to make any country, but when you look at the U.S. or you even look at Jamaica, especially in the sprints and the hurdles, that's no easy feat. I think she's raised the bar. You know, I don't think anybody compares for where she's at with her age and what really her future holds. And we're fortunate that she is going to be back, you know, the next 3 years. She understands, I think, too, she's really bought into what Tanja's doing with her, you know, on the track. And I think she realizes, too, off the track, the amount of success that we have here, you know, behind the scenes. And, you know, I think that we've had a long line of Jamaican athletes, and we want to continue that, and it definitely helps having people like Rochelle.
With her, you know, Chris Ann, do you guys feel like you have a kind of established pipeline coming from Jamaica down here to Austin? Is that something you count on pretty much every few years?
We do. You know, you're graduating somebody, you know, like Chris Ann, you're graduating Sanajay Givens, and, you know, as coaches, when you go to, you know, down to Jamaica and stuff and you recruit, a lot of them are going to look at the history of the program. And as coaches, we can say what we want to say, and we can sell it like no other, but at the same time, whenever we've had either former athletes that are also the voice, but most importantly, the current student athletes, then they're going to be, you know, they're going to be a lot more comfortable to, you know, coming here and making this their new home.